where Richard Action Jackson faces Mike Bell in a rematch for the U.S. Super Lightweight crown. Larry Black and Jeff Smith called the action.
Bell said before the fight that he was going to be cautious, that he would take what Jackson would give him. So let's be interesting to see what he wants to give him.
There, Bell doing what he did before, holding on with his left hand and slamming that right hand into the body and into the head of Jackson. Bell generates a tremendous amount of force with that right hand, even when he's got his left hand tied up. There's that spinning back kick, and it landed. Jackson landed that spinning back kick, and Bell just shrugged it off like it didn't bother him a bit. There again, holding on to Jackson's right glove. Jackson gets free and lands a left hook, but Bell lands a right-left combination.
Jackson is going to have to take care of that right hand of Bell's if he wants to come out on top on this round or the fight.
Both of Mike Bell's last four fights, all four of his last four fights have ended in a knockout, either in the first or second round, and surprisingly enough, by a left hook to the body. But he does have a right hand that will drop you to the canvas.
When Jackson goes inside, he has to tie up Bell's right hand. Bell's scoring a lot of points with that.
And there's a kick that Jackson was kicking at the same time. It lifted him off his feet. It's a slip. Surprisingly enough, that's exactly the same combination that cost Richard Jackson a 3-point foul in their last fight, only Jackson was doing the kicking that knocked Bell to the canvas. And his kick landed a little low, got a 3-point foul, and it was the determining factor in that last fight.
Bell's kick there in this fight, though, just landed on the leg, and there was no penalty involved in this one.
Bell again slamming in with that right hand. 20 seconds left in this first round. Jackson is landing the blows, but he's absorbing a lot of punishment when he gets in close. This is for the United States Super Lightweight Championship. Minimum kicks, 8 per round. 9-round schedule. Neither fighter thinks it will go the whole way. We'll be back with round number 2 right after this. There's the champ. That's Mike Bell from Orlando, Florida. He's 5'5", 131 pounds. He's 32 years old. His opponent is Richard Jackson, 26 years old, 5'6", 134 pounds. And this is the man who used to be the only and first and only super lightweight United States champ, and he lost it to Mike Bell. A spinning back kick, it missed. Mike Bell did a very smart thing. He moved in, jammed the kick, and it cost Richard Jackson his footing.
That was ruled as a slip down, so there was no points involved there.
Jackson really relying on that spinning back kick. That's the only thing he's landed with any power. And he's absorbing some Bell right and left hands. Bell definitely in good shape. You can see the phenomenal muscle definition on his abdominal muscles, also the trapezius and the lat muscles.
Good right hand by Richard Jackson.
Jackson now trying to tie up that Bell right hand as he gets in on the clinches. Richard using that lateral movement. Moving in with a left hook. And again, Mike Bell slamming away with that right hand. Jackson tying up. This is round number 2. We're scheduled for 9. Jackson, the challenger, is in blue. Bell, the champion, in the light pants. Jackson ducking under that Bell right hand, getting his right hand tied up, smiling out of the corner.
Jackson is going to have to continue tying that right hand up. There's a nice front kick by Jackson.
You're not going to hurt Bell hitting him in the body. Look at those stomach muscles.
The key to hurting somebody in the body that has that kind of build, Larry, is to catch them at the right point when they're relaxed. Then those muscles don't do any good.
You're hearing that from one who knows, the former light heavyweight champion of the world, Jeff Smith. And we're getting ready for round number 3 between this man, Mike Bell, the United States champ, and this man, Richard Jackson, working in his corner with Joe Corley, Asa Gordon, and Jim Korb. There's the bell for the start of round number 3. Both fighters come out using that front kick. Jackson tries his spinning back fist. It missed. Jackson is known for his spinning back fist and his spinning back kick. now using the round kicks and side kicks. Bell wisely ducking under that Jackson right hand. People talk about how strong Mike Bell is, but Richard Jackson has a very powerful left hook and a very powerful right hand of his own.
Mike Bell seems to be very effective when he gets in close to Richard Jackson. So I think if Richard can stay outside and work him until he hurts him before he goes inside, Richard will come out on top. Bell seems to be the strongest inside. Outside, Richard looks to be moving under him pretty good.
Richard keeps a look on his face, almost a look of disgust. Every time Mike Bell hits him, he acts like that didn't hurt. Is that as hard as you can hit? That looked like another low kick. I don't believe it hit in the groin. It was just below the belt with Richard Jackson up in the air. No foul, no penalty, just a slip down.
Bell moving under that right hand nicely. Richard Jackson.
Jackson has absolutely no respect for Bell's kicks. He respects that right hand, but every time Bell kicks, Jackson moves right in with a right hand of his own. You can see the footwork on the part of Jackson. Bell standing in the center of the ring, following Jackson around with his eyes, but Jackson definitely using the footwork. Moving in with that left hook.
Jackson definitely dominating the kicking department here with 15 kicks and Bell with 9 kicks.
Bell knows he has a good right hand, and I believe he thinks that's the way he's going to take Jackson out, so he's depending on that right hand.
Bell doesn't seem to be using that right hand inside anymore. That seemed to me to be his best weapon, and he didn't use it that round.
Richard Jackson in the blue on the right of your screen. Mike Bell, the champ, on the left. This is a hook kick that went right in front of the face of Bell. He came right back with a side kick to the body, and you see, as he did the side kick, Mike Bell wasn't expecting a second kick. He kicked himself, and it sent Richard to the canvas. It was a slip down, not a knockdown. This is round number 4. Champion looking very determined. Jackson doing an unorthodox move, raising his right leg, not kicking, and then starting to throw a right hand, but didn't throw it. Ended up in a clinch. Spinning back kick to the head.
Both of these fighters seem to be pretty even after these 3 rounds. Neither fighter has landed anything a little more. Now Bell coming on hard with a nice combination.
That's the way Bell has finished his last 4 opponents. Get them on the ropes and just pound those punches into the ribs and kidneys. Jackson smart, getting off the ropes.
Jackson definitely needs to stay outside of Bell. You can see when Bell gets him on the ropes or gets him in a position where he cannot move at all, he starts letting go with that power on those hand techniques.
Another spinning back kick caught on the elbow of Bell. Jackson consistently scoring with a jab, but not doing a lot of damage. Triple jab on that.
Bell's kicks don't seem to have any snap or power in them at all. If he's going to win this fight, I think his strategy is to solely rely on those hands. On the other hand, Jackson is mixing his hands and feet very well.
Jackson definitely the more versatile of the 2 fighters. Smiling at Bell, moving out of the way. He really has no appreciation at all for Bell's kicks.
Richard seems to be slipping a little bit in this whole fight here. I think several other fighters earlier this evening had the same problem. A little slippery on the footing tonight. That's especially harder for a kicker versus a puncher, because when you're kicking, you're on that one leg.
Bell trying to wind up that right hand and move in, but not successfully. 10
Jackson
seconds left in the round.
Back kick.
Right-left combination by Jackson. I believe that hurt Bell just a little bit. That's the end of round number 4, and we'll be right back with round 5. And here's some of round number 4. Mike Bell on the left, Jackson on the right. This is a spinning back kick.
Catching it right in the midsection.
Right in the ribs. I believe that's what took some of the stamina out of Mike Bell in that round, allowing Richard Jackson to score later on with a right-left combination. There's the bell. We're now into round number 5, scheduled for 9, a minimum kick requirement of 8 kicks per round.
There's Bell unloading that right hand again. Jackson has to stay out of that area.
Bell definitely with a tremendous amount of power when he unloads those right-left combinations.
Bell seems to know right where he wants Richard Jackson, and he feels content to wait until he gets him inside, and then he unloads those heavy bombs, trying to take Richard Jackson out.
Unlike a less strong opponent, Bell will not tire of throwing those kinds of punches. He is in tremendous condition, and he can throw those kinds of punches for 9 rounds without stopping. So Jackson is going to have to take him out. He's not going to let him wear himself down. Jackson has switched sides. He threw a right back fist followed by a straight left.
He moved Bell back that time, but it didn't seem to hurt him. Bell seems to be waiting just for that hand technique, that right hand. He seems like he wants to unload for Richard Jackson.
Bell has thrown 8 kicks so far in this 5th round. Jackson has thrown 12. 13.
Jackson seems to be controlling this round a little better. Bell hasn't landed anything. He's just moving. Bell is now not unloading once he gets inside. Maybe his strategy is to rest this round a little bit, because Richard is throwing a good combination of hands and feet. This is a nice spinning back kick. Let's look at the slow motion just for a second. There's that spinning back kick that Richard Jackson is famous for. And Richard Jackson controlled that round, Larry, and that round now has Richard Jackson 50-49. I have Richard Jackson on my unofficial score by 1 point. This is a very close fight. Here we are now into round 6.
It is a close fight. You saw that round kick, landed on the head, but then got caught on the shoulder. Bell moving in very quickly after a spinning back kick. Jackson flicking that left jab, ducking under a Bell right hand. There's that spinning back kick. It landed on the chest. Bell smiled. It didn't hurt him at all.
I think Bell, though, I think it's going to show in these later rounds. Those kicks have a way of compounding. When you hit that body, definitely takes a little bit of steam out of you. There's Bell now unloading that right hand. Bell still seems to be satisfied with just flicking that kick out with not enough force behind it to do any damage to Richard.
Mike Bell has already absorbed enough punishment from the spinning back kick of Richard Jackson to put the average man on the street down 20 times over. He is one tough super lightweight.
Mike has not been able to land that right hand on Richard in this round or the last round. He hasn't landed a good right hand like he had in the earlier rounds. So Richard has been controlling this fight in the last and this round, I feel.
Left hook by Jackson, right hand by Bell. Exchange. Jackson looking over the shoulder of Bell, checking with his corner.
There's that right hand, but he just stopped with 2 that time.
Bell has thrown 9 kicks so far in this round. Jackson has thrown 15. Jackson definitely the kicker among the two.
Jackson threw a nice combination inside, a couple uppercuts there.
We are scheduled for 9 in the super lightweight U.S. title defense. There's the champ, Mike Bell. He's fighting a steady pace in this fight, not really using a lot of power in his kicks, but unloading tremendous power in his right hand.
After 6 rounds, Larry, I have it 60-58 for Richard Jackson on my unofficial score.
That score is unofficial. Our officials at ringside, Jim Wilson, Dick Tershel of Tershel Photography of Atlanta, and Parker Shelton of Fort Wayne, Indiana, are the officials that will be scoring the fight. We have to go to their official decision if we go the entire 9 rounds, and it looks like we will. Both of these fighters in tremendous condition, neither one being able to land that big bomb that will put the other one down.
Our officials are all black belts that have had years of experience in martial arts. So they're the ones that decide what's going on here today.
That left hook landed.
Good combination by Richard Jackson.
That left hook landed. I believe Bell was holding on that time. He wasn't landing his right hand in the clinches because he had run into a left hook of Richard Jackson.
Richard seems to be getting his rhythm here a little bit more in these later rounds, making Bell miss a little bit more. Richard seems to be landing more now.
There's a step behind side kick. Jackson slamming it into the elbows. There's a spinning back fist. And it landed. Bell looks to be staggered. Richard Jackson, known as the master of the spinning back fist.
There he is.
Bell is definitely backpedaling now. He's not timing his punches. His eyes look a little bit glassy. We saw Mike Bell look like this in the second round against Jack Ballard when he defended his title for the first time. And he came back and completely dominated and knocked out Jack Ballard, breaking his nose. So don't discount Bell. There's that right hand, but it missed.
Nice front kick by Richard Jackson.
Another left hook. Bell ducked right into that left hook.
Jackson seems to have figured Mike Bell out where he's moving and is falling right into Richard's, right where Richard
Seventh round, definitely a good round for Richard Jackson. We'll be right back with round 8. Mike Bell in the light pants.
Larry, I scored that last round, number 7 on my unofficial score, 10-9 again for Richard Jackson, bringing my score 70-67 for Richard Jackson.
The crowd is so noisy here in the Peachtree Plaza Hotel that Richard Jackson and Mike Bell couldn't even hear the bell. Both fighters know that they have got to do a job here in these last 2 rounds or either knock their opponent out. The fight is very close. Unofficially at ringside, Jeff Smith has it scored 70-67 for Richard Jackson, with a number of the first rounds even, the first 4 rounds even, the last 3 rounds going to Richard Jackson. But that's too close unofficially. The officials are the ones that make the decision, and we're going to have to see what they say after the fight is over.
I believe Bell is going to have to put a little more pressure on Richard. Richard is moving around now, a little too much elusive, and Richard is throwing so many things that he's landing more.
Jackson smiling at center referee J.T. Will as he breaks them up.
Bell is landing techniques, but he's not throwing enough to score enough points here. There's a nice head kick by Richard Jackson.
Not a whole lot of effect, but a lot of points racked up on the judges' cards.
There's that reverse side kick again, spinning back kick.
Jackson sets that up by flicking his right hand out and then spinning with the back leg into that spinning back kick. Again, leaping over, landing a right hand. Very unusual technique. It looks like Richard Jackson's going to be known for a new technique.
Well, he was trying to get over Bell's front leg. In the earlier rounds, Bell's front leg was knocking Richard down when he would try that because it's a little awkward. Richard seemed to jump over it now.
Bell fighting like a man who's tired, standing flat-footed. Richard trying to spinning back fist offensively. That's unusual for him. He's usually only using that spinning back fist defensively, but he can't get Bell to come after him.
Bell seems to be waiting. Maybe he knows something we don't.
This is very unusual. This is the 9th and final round for the Super Lightweight Championship of the United States. The champion, Mike Bell. There's the challenger, Richard Jackson. And unofficially here at ringside, we have Jackson ahead. How did you score that last round, Jeff?
I gave that last round to Richard Jackson by a score of 10-9. So that makes it 80-76 for Jackson on my unofficial score.
A 4-point unofficial score ahead for Jackson here at ringside by expert commentator Jeff Smith, but our officials, well-known celebrities in karate, Parker Shelton, trainer of world champion Ross Scott, Dick Tershel, former Chuck Norris black belt, Jim Wilson, brother and trainer of Don Wilson, former U.S. middleweight champ. We have some very respectable officials, not to mention our center referee, actor, author J.T. Will. These are the people that will make the official decision as to who the winner is if this fight concludes 1 minute and 12 more seconds.
Pick by Jackson. Bell seems to be coming on harder this last round, but Jackson looks like he's ready for it.
Jackson again keeping Bell off with that spinning back fist. It didn't land, but it kept Bell from moving in. Jackson still dancing here in the 9th and final round. He landed that left.
Bell still waiting. Bell seems to, I don't know if he's tired, Larry, or whether he's waiting for that right hand. Right on timing, but to win by a decision, he's got to land more techniques.
Only 30 seconds left in the fight, and it looks like Richard Jackson may have become the first and only person ever to regain a lost U.S. championship.
When Bell had Jackson on the ropes, he didn't unload like he was earlier.
Richard has already kicked 14 times in this last round. Crowd again chanting, Jackson, Jackson.
I think those spinning back kicks in those early rounds by Jackson had some effect on Bell. That's why Bell is tiring a little in this last round.
That's the bell for the end of the fight. And we'll be back with the decision right after this.
Let's take a look at some of that slow motion action in that ninth and final round between Richard Jackson and Mike Bell. There's a right hand just missing. There's that left hook by Jackson as Bell lands a right hand and comes back with a left. Seemed like a nice exchange there in that final round. On my unofficial score, I have it 90-86 for Jackson. Jackson threw a total of 123 kicks to Mike Bell's 95. We are now waiting for our official's decision.
It's a unanimous decision.
Judge Sheldon scoring the fight 90-87.
3-point margin.
Churchill scores it 90-84.
A wide 6-point margin.
We're listening to our official's
Judge Wilson
score.
scoring it 88-86.
We have a unanimous decision.
You got to be better than the champ.
Recapture.
And the winner is Richard Jackson. And he is the first man ever to recapture a lost U.S. championship. And he recaptured it in his hometown of Atlanta, Georgia.
Jackson avenges his loss to Bell and sets his sights on a world title shot. We go now to